what would you consider to be the absolute dream, ultimate golf job? What would it be? Would it be maybe a tour player? Would it be someone who reviews, I don't know, golf travel? Would it be someone who has the benefits of probably all those people, but then takes beautiful works of art? So it's this kind of joining with a golf course, with a golf resort, because the photos go beyond just a beautiful golf course, but they are very much about that. And it's about capturing these images so that everyone can enjoy in all kinds of mediums. Well, when we were about to launch this show as a television medium, we reached out to who I think is the best golf photographer in the world, in Evan Schiller, and said, hey, we'd like to use your photos as part of what we do. And he said it was fantastic. EvanSchillerPhotography.com is his website. And we invited him on the show today to talk about what he does, how he does it, how we get into it, and more. Evan, welcome to the program. How are you?
Great, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you on the program. So I guess the first question I would have for you is that, how did you get into doing this? I know you're a PGA professional. You're a player of some real accomplishment. You've played in a U.S. Open as well. How did you transition? When did you make this move to go into golf course photography?
Wow. Well, I remember way back when I was a little kid, my parents got me this little Instamatic camera, and I just started taking pictures for kicks, and I never once thought that I would be a photographer. I think it happened, it was one year, I think it was 1986. I was playing in the California Open in the desert, out in California desert. We were playing the Dinah Shore course where they play the tournament, the Mission Hills Dinah Shore course, and the mountain course at La Quinta Resort. And after the tournament, somebody said, you ought to go down the street. There's a new course just opened up. It was a stadium course at PGA West.
Huh.
So yeah, my friend Tom Patry and I went over there and played, and there was nobody out there. It was really early. It was in August, so it was really hot. So we went out early to avoid the heat. Make a long story short, we came to the ninth hole, and the stadium course is this classic Pete Dye golf course. And looking down the ninth fairway, this beautiful fairway, it's got a sand trap running the length of the fairway. It's got the railroad ties, and then it has a lake, and the backdrop is this beautiful mountain. And there was a reflection in the water that was incredible. And the hole is actually called Reflection. Yeah, that's it right there. And I said, you know what? I got to go home and I got to start bringing a camera with me and taking pictures. So I went home, bought a camera. And when I was traveling to tournaments or playing golf courses, I would just take photos for fun and give them to my friends. I recall hanging them in my room, like all along the top of the wall. Lining the top of my wall with these photos of all the places I played. And that's how, the photography happened. And it was a few years later, actually, where I started working as an assistant pro at Westchester Country Club with Tom Patry. And, we came up with the idea that, hey, why don't you take some of these photos and put them in the shop and sell them? And I kind of chuckled because I thought, who the heck's going to buy these things, right? I didn't really think they were any good. And to my surprise, we put a few in the shop right before the Buick Classic, and they started selling. That's how it all got started. Then I did it at a few other clubs in the area, and that's kind of how it got started.
The interesting thing about it, Evan, is that, and I'm sure that everybody who is watching us around the world or listening to us on the digital radio side can appreciate the fact that, let's say it's a beautiful sunset, whatever it is that you're trying to take a picture of, it is extremely difficult to capture a picture in such a way that it looks in finished product the way it looked to your eye. How is it that you, I guess, have this natural talent, this natural eye, this natural ability to capture something in such a way that when we see it back in a photographic form, it's at least as beautiful and stunning as the original?
Well, that's it's interesting you say that, because I recall starting out, I would take photos and I would get them back. And this is before digital, it was film. And so you had to send it to the lab and get it processed. I would get them back and I would look at them and say, that doesn't look like what I saw. What's wrong here? I could always compose a photo, but as far as getting the light and the color, it didn't look right. So I just, a lot through trial and error. I had one friend who was a photographer who gave me some assistance. So over time it evolved, but, having, post-production software like Photoshop or Lightroom really helps, because when you take a photo, and all the photos I shoot are in a raw format, and just briefly, for those who don't know what a raw format is, it's basically untouched, uninhibited version of the photo. All the information is there. So what you do in post-production is you work on it to bring out all the information, the color, the contrast, the light that was already there. So post-production really helps. And my intention, and when I do post-production, is just to bring it back to what it looked like when I was there, because rarely does a photo come out of a camera looking exactly like what you saw.
It's fascinating
which is,
stuff.
in some ways is intentional, because that way you maintain more of the information.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you that are watching us on the television side, on the radio side, we'll explain to you that what Andrew is putting through the system right now are some of the beautiful photos that Evan has shot. And these are absolutely stunning. I mean, Andrew just put one up right now of the 7th at Pebble Beach, and Dom in my headset, Evan, literally said, it doesn't even look real. It looks like a watercolor. It looks like a painting. And so it speaks to, I guess, what you're searching for. So here's a question I have for you. I remember when I was on the club side of the business back in the day, and we would bring in, of course, photographers. They had ladders of all various sorts and sizes, and they'd go for the sunrise, of course, and the sunsets and the golden hour and all the rest that went along with it. In your case, it's clear that you use these varying heights to do your photos, but it also appears that the new technology and the drone technology is something that you're using very effectively as well. What is the technology in terms of when you're on site?
Yeah, well, it used to be ladders and lifts, cherry pickers, sometimes a helicopter. And all of that really has been replaced by a drone. It's been a real game changer, whereas, like that shot right there of Spanish Peaks, you couldn't get that before unless you were in a helicopter flying low and having the guys, fly very, very, very slow and, turn the helicopter very, very slow.
And how high is your drone on this video that we're showing right now?
This shot, it was probably about 50, 60 feet maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, the drone is the combination of a ladder, a lift, a helicopter, and then some, because, with like a helicopter, you can only fly it so low. With a lift, there's certain places that you can't get to. Most of the time you'd have to keep it on a cart path, and although you could swing it out to certain spots, like if you wanted to get a shot over a lake, you can't drive the lift out there. I recall many years ago on several shoots, standing somewhere on the golf course and looking out and saying, boy, it would really be great if I could get out over those trees or get out over that lake and take a shot of this hole. I wish there was something that I could use to get over there. I thought a helicopter, but you can't fly a helicopter that low. So the drone has really been a game changer and replaced all those things. It just allows you to get to spots that you could never get before, or get perspectives or angles that you could never get before, and then some. And also be very efficient with your time as well. When you had a lift or a ladder, you'd have to go and set it up, and then, with the lift, they put the legs down, then they'd go up, you'd move around, then you'd have to go down, move the lift, whereas a drone, you can get all those spots in, a matter of minutes.
So two questions that I have relative to that, Evan Schiller, evanschillerphotography.com, folks, if you want to check out with more, taking some time and your time to look at these beautiful photos and these incredible videos that we've been running here. We will continue to as well. EvanSchillerPhotography.com. And in a second, I'm going to talk to you about what you can pick up from the website if you're looking for, I guess, I know it's a cliche, but the perfect gift for the golfer in your life, because it is that unique. But here's a question I have relative to the drone, Evan, was A, how long did it take for you to become an expert? Because you're dealing with a lot of the courses that we were just illustrating. I know it's not all of them that you shoot, but a lot of them that we were just showing were right on the water, so you're going to be dealing with very strong winds, etc. So how long did it take for you to become an expert at flying the drone? And two, how much did you mess with what camera you use on the drone so that you were sure to get the exact amount of quality that you want for your photos?
Yeah. Well, I'm still learning. And I recall a friend of mine who builds drones and was a really wonderful drone pilot and videographer. He said, go in an open area and do figure eights. He goes, when you can do a smooth figure eight, you could probably do anything. So I went out and practiced doing figure eights and just doing all kinds of different maneuvers because, with like this shot here, this is Moonlight Basin in Montana, just being able to fly it and then move it and pan it. Like now it's gonna start moving a little bit to the left and at the same time turning it a little bit to the right. So learning the video aspect of it. And having it be a smooth, flying it smoothly like this, where I actually took it and flew it all the way around the green, that takes some time to learn, to fly it smoothly, make the turn smoothly. But there's also some adjustments on the drone that you can make that allow you to do that much easier.
And can you get still images from these videos?
You can, they're just not as good as the still images themselves, because with a video, your settings are a lot different. In other words, the video is essentially a series of stills, but actually, if you took a still and looked at it of a video, it's a little blurred. The reason being is because when you have all these frames going by really quickly, you want the transition to seem smooth. So that's why it makes the video look smoother versus if you had them all be sharp stills, the video wouldn't look as smooth in the transition.
So do your drones have multiple cameras mounted on them then?
Just one, and I can switch from taking stills to video.
It's amazing technology.
The same camera can do stills and videos. The only thing is you have to have the settings be a little bit different. Your shutter speed is a lot slower with video than it is with stills, because stills you want to capture the actions sharp, whereas the video, it's moving. So like I said, it's a little bit, each frame is slightly blurred, and you want that because the video will look smoother. So yes, you can do stills and videos. And the technology
how many courses have you shot now?
Over 600.
Over 600. And I'm just curious, when you're traveling, whatever it is, you're sitting at a restaurant or what have you, and you strike up those conversations with fellow weary travelers, and they say, well, what do you do? And you say, I'm a golf course photographer. What do you tell them when you're on the road?
I tell them that. At first I might say I'm a photographer, and they say, what do you, and I photograph golf courses. And then some people look at me very quizzically, like, really? There's somebody who does that? I said, yeah. And then, people who play golf, who are, golf aficionados really know, and then they kind of intrigued by it. So we get into some interesting conversations. I'm inevitably asked, what's my favorite course? What's your favorite course you photographed? And so we always get into those conversations. And they ask me where I've been.
My understanding is that Don was mentioning to me before we went on the air this morning that he asked you that question to be prepared for what was your favorite photograph. And he said to me before we went on, make sure you ask Evan what his favorite photograph of all time is. So with that, what is your favorite photograph of all time?
Well, if there's a lot of them that I like, but if I had to choose, it would be that one right there. The fifth hole at Bandon Dunes. It's one of, well, first of all, it's one of the best holes on the property. And it just so happened, I'll just give you a little background because not only the photo, but it's the whole story behind it. It was a morning. It was, as you can see, it was overcast, misty. There was a little bit of rain. The fog was coming in off the ocean. It was overcast. As I sat out there for probably, an hour or so, and they had this tournament going on. And the first group was coming down the fourth hole. And I knew that once they get on the fifth hole, I'd kind of have to get out of there because there'd be people on the fifth fairway and the fourth green, because the fourth green's right behind the fifth tee. And I saw this little break in the clouds on the horizon. And I thought, wow, if that somehow that moved or opened up a little more and the sun came out, this could be epic. So I launched the drone and I flew it. These guys are coming down to the fourth green, and I could see them pointing up to my drone in the sky because it was right behind the fourth green, looking down the fifth. And I took this with a bit of a zoom lens to make it look a little bit more compressed. And I'm flying this thing and I'm hovering it, hoping for the sun to come out. The sun came out for literally, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds max. I got off probably 5 or 6, maybe 8 frames, 2 of which were really good because the light was a little bit muted, but that was that photo right there. I mean,
It's
literally
absolutely
came out for 30
beautiful.
seconds.
It is
There was 2
absolutely beautiful.
frames that were really good.
Awesome stuff. Evan, we've only got about a minute left here in our window. People who are interested in maybe picking up some of these prints, evanschillerphotography.com is a website, evanschillerphotography.com. What can they get at the website? How easy is it? What kind of options do they have?
Yeah, they can get calendars, prints on various mediums, on photographic paper, printed on metal, printed on canvas, all kinds of different sizes. Sometimes I get requests for stuff that's not even on there that, I can print on other mediums as well. But yeah, it's, there's on my website, it's, prints, you can buy prints. It says prints right on the top of the website, one of the drop-down menus.
Fantastic. And I guess it would go without saying that also on the website, evanschillerphotography.com, that if a golf course wants to have you come out, a resort wants to have you come out and do some photography therein, that would be a good place to contact you?
That would be a good place. There's some information on, the whole process of setting up a shoot, what we go through, and all of all that good stuff. Yeah.
It's awesome, dude. I love what you're doing. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love the fact that these places we already believe are God's gardens, and then you capture it in such a way that is absolutely inspiring. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for hanging with us here in the Fairways of Life show. And I'm not just talking about today. I mean, when we use your photos throughout the course of what we do, it's an absolute honor and a delight. Thank you for your time today, too.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel very privileged to be on your show and to do this work. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, Matt.